I mean, part two of this is, law enforcement, military, they're trained to carry guns. If they go to work, they accept the fact that they may not come home. And it's tragic, but it happens. I mean, I'm not saying that's okay. I'm not saying it's acceptable. I come from a law enforcement family. But with teachers, it should not be the expectation. There were days when I went to work and I knew that I might not come home. Yeah, and every teacher's felt that way. We've all wondered what we would do if there was a school shooter. And this was like maybe a couple months into teaching as a long-term sub. It was grossly undertrained. I had a kid in the eighth graders for my health class. At the end of the day, a kid came up to me and he said, hey, someone said something about having a clock. And I said, okay, I need you to sit down. I immediately made sure everyone was calm. I went to the Spanish teacher's room next door. We had a classroom between us. I knocked on the door and I just said, hey, can you watch my kids for a minute? I need to step out. And she said, sure, yeah, no problem. I stepped out. I went to go see if my AP or my clerk was in the office, and they weren't. I went to the media center, which was luckily right down the hall. I said, I need you to call for an administrator as soon as possible. And I think they could tell by my tone and my voice that I was terrified. And they didn't question it. They said, sure. I said, I just need you to do it. Because I knew that if I pressed that button in my room, it could set that person off. There could have been a person with a gun. And to my knowledge, he had one. Fortunately, the story does have a happy ending. We had an administrator come in, take the 3 boys out. 2 boys were witnesses. 1 boy was freaking out, and I just said, hey, you're not in trouble, but I need to know they need to know what happened. And when he figured that out, he said, oh, okay, fine. And I said, yeah, you're fine. Like, you're good. Just tell her what happened. And then the 3rd boy was a special needs kid. So he had something mentally, I don't know what it was, but he had something mentally, not firing right. And he was a great kid. He was a really sweet kid, but they searched him, and fortunately he did not have a firearm, but just those emotions were terrifying. And knowing that you could have been in there with all those kids that you're responsible for, and up to 40 kids in this class, and that could have happened. And this is within like 2 months of teaching. Every teacher in this country has thought about it. Every teacher has thought about it. I never did an active shooter drill just because one never happened, but even fire drills are kind of scary for kids because the kids were just themselves. But yeah, it's just such a ridiculous expectation for a teacher to carry a firearm.